Okay, so Taylor brought up a very good point. He came up and said, "Yeah, when you rotate that, you can use this red control right here." And yeah, you can, except you shouldn't. So this is the main character move control, the big giant red one that when you click on it, it selects everything. The purpose of this control is to move and position the entire character at the beginning of the shot. Once it's in place, you should not animate with it. Do not animate with this control. Why? Well, because part of the way that this rig is set up is that the base has an IK component to it, which means that it will stay where you put it until you move it. It'll just stay there. If you use the red control, the main character control, to move it, then the base will slide all over the place, and you don't want that. So every rig of any level of sophistication has one of these controls, and that's always its purpose, is to just put it in position when the shot starts. The other reason you can use it is, let's say you're working on a project, and your lead comes in, or the director comes in and says, "Yeah, I really like the shot, but he needs to be like a foot further to his right." Right? Everything's fine. He's just a foot too far to the left, so move him over a foot to the right. Well, if you didn't have that control, you get to reanimate the whole damn thing, and just a major pain in the butt. But you take that control, you slide it over, all the animations stick. You probably have to tweak a few things here and there, but it beats having to reanimate the whole shot. So that's the whole purpose for that particular control, is for positioning it and repositioning it. That's all that you should ever use that for. And by the way, if you wanted spider lamp, you could do that too. You can take it and rotate it so it's climbing the wall. But again, only in the initial positioning of the object. Animating with it is a bad idea. Don't do it. It'll skate. The character will skate. It just will slide like there's a thin sheen of oil in there, and he's just sliding around. Yeah.
I was wondering, if we're having the lamp jump into the shot, then do we use that to place it from, let's say, its start point to where it lands, and then where it lands?
You can.
Or is that, or are we not supposed to do that?
No, wait. Are you using it to? Are you asking, can you use that control to move him into the shot as he jumps?
Yeah.
No.
That's, okay.
No, you cannot. That's what the base control is for.
Oh, so is it okay if the main control doesn't follow the rest of the lamp along?
Of course. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, because, so using the example that I just used, he's coming, you've got a character that's walking, right? And we need to move him a foot to the right. He's going to walk away from his control because he's walking, right? He's covering distance. So he's got to walk away from it. We just shove him over to the right a little bit, and he still walks away from it. He's just walking away from it a little further to the right. So yeah, you can totally move a character away from that main control. In fact, in most cases, you have to.
For some reason, for the past year, I thought that was a really bad thing to do. Now I'm understanding why all the rigs misbehave when I use them.
The feet skate and slide and do all that. Because you're animating. Don't animate with that control. It is a bad idea. Most people don't do it. There are occasions where you can do it, but they're very rare.
Sorry, I thought you were
30-second dance party, everybody.
No. Sorry.
That's all right, no problem. These things happen. My fiance last night apparently forgot that I teach at night, and then texted me at 8 o'clock saying, "I'm going out for sushi." Okay.
Maybe she wanted to make you jealous.
In the middle of,
So you
No,
wrap it up and come with it.
there was no chance of that happening because I really don't like the sushi place she went to,
Okay.
and I'm not a huge fan of the people she went with. So I was good.
So
I went
if you
home, had the
if
whole
you
house
liked
to my-
the sushi and you liked her friends, we would have got out of here at 8.
Oh yeah, Yeah, no, totally. Get the hell out. There's raw fish and rice to be eaten. Yeah, and her friends are fine. I'm just saying.
No, everybody, some people just don't click.
Yeah, it's I get along fine with them. I just prefer to spend time with them. All right, she can never see this video. All right, so here we are. We've got let me click off of this guy. So we've got our main poses here, and we're all set to go. We didn't do any timing on this, right? Remember, we just set the key poses about 10 frames apart, arbitrarily. Just pick that random distance. Some people do 5. Some people will stack them one right after the other, which is really not a great idea in my opinion. But if you want to do it that way, you can. If we'd done it that way, we couldn't have put in that breakdown. We wouldn't have been able to put in that breakdown pose. But because we were 10 frames apart, we were able to just throw that in real quick. But now what I want to do, again, while I'm still in pop through. Now that I got my poses set up, I want to time this out. I want to figure out how long each of these things is going to take to transition from one to the next. And I'm going to move my keys around to approximate that timing. It's going to change again when we go to splines because everything always needs tweaking. The thing with 3D is you're touching everything over and over again. You're touching all the controls repeatedly. When you're modeling, you touch every vertex over and over again. But it's what's necessary in order to get a really compelling performance. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take all of our keys and we're going to slide them around on the timeline so that we get the timing that we want. The easiest way to do this is with all 3 controls selected. And with this guy, it's not hard to select all 3 controls. We can just click on all 3, 1, 2, 3, and then we've got them all. All of our keys are represented down here. We can just move them around. When we go to a more complex rig, you're still going to need to do this, and it gets a little more complicated grabbing all of those keys or all those controls so that you can move the keys around. So one of the things that I like to do that makes this a little bit easier is to create a button that will allow me to just grab all of the controls at once. And here's how we're going to do that. We're going to come up here. These are, for those of you who haven't ever worked with shelves, these are all shelves. This is a curved surface shell, the polygon shelf, sculpting shelf, rigging, animation, and so on. We have here a custom shelf. This is a default that Maya gives us. And we can add things to this shelf. We can add buttons and controls and all kinds of cool stuff that will allow us to grab things easily. So what I want to do is I want to get these 3 controls, the base control, the arm control, and the lampshade control, and put them all in a button so that when I click on it, it just selects all of them. Okay, so here's how I'm going to do that. I've got my custom shelf open. I can actually even create my own custom shelf if I want to. If I click on this little gear here and I go new shelf name, Pixo, I'll just call it Pixo CTL, Pixo Control. And OK. Oh, sorry, no spaces. Pixo CTL. There we go. And I created a new shelf. You can see that it's empty. There's nothing up here. Right? The animation shelf has all these animation controls on it. But Pixo Control has nothing on it. Now what I want to do is I'm going to come down here into my script editor. I'm going to open that up. And the script editor contains everything we've done since we started our session. All of the animation we've done, all the keys that we've set, all of that stuff is listed here in the script editor. Kind of a running tally of what we've done. I'm going to go in here and I'm going to go edit and clear history to get rid of all of that, just so I've got a nice clean window. That step isn't strictly necessary, it just makes it cleaner. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to select each of these controls holding down the shift key after the first one. So I click on the base control, and you can see right here in the script editor we get a line that says select base control. Hold down the shift, and I get another one, select toggle pull vector, and then one more shift, click, and I've got select toggle head control. So the first one is just a regular selection. The toggle means that I'm adding to it, and this is all three controls for this particular character. So what I'm going to do is highlight all three of these lines, and right here there's a button that says Save Script to Shelf. I'm going to click on this and enter name of new shelf item. So we're going to again go PixoCTL, actually PXOCT, because there's very little text that can show up on these. So Pixo control, hit OK. It'll ask if I want Python or Mel, and I want Mel. And there's my control. There's my button. Just threw it right into the shelf, just like I asked it to. So now, instead of going over here and going click, shift, click to get all of these, I can just come up here, click on this button, and it automatically selects all three controls. So again, not a big deal with this rig because it's very simple, but the very next rig we use is, it's going to be a ball with legs, and it's got toe roll controls and hip controls and squash controls and all kinds of cool stuff. And you're going to have to do this retiming thing with your walk as well, maybe. So having a button that you can click on that selects all of your controls at once is a really good option. So now what I'm going to do is figure out, just take a look at this here and figure out how long I want each of these actions to take. So let's get, did I miss one? What's that point? No, it's that one. Okay, good. One. Great. All right, so my first one, and this is where, you know, kind of acting this out. I'm going to use the lamp to act it out with, but you can act it out just with your arm, right? And this is like a pixel lamp, right? You just do this kind of thing. If he's going to be down for a little bit, like when we come into the shot, there's a few things to consider. First of all, you should never do anything that you need the audience to see within the first 6 frames of coming into a shot. That first 6 frames, first quarter second, is necessary for the audience to kind of orient themselves to what they're seeing. So if you do something that's vital for them to be aware of within that first 6 frames, they'll never see it. So we're going to wait 6 frames. So he's already going to be in this position for 6 frames. And then we want him to kind of, you know, what is his mood is, you know, he's kind of dejected, right? So when he goes to move, he's going to move really slow, right? You've never seen a dejected person going, hey, I'm really dejected. Yay! You know, they're all like, whatever. You know, it's slow, it's laborious. It's like, you know, the air is too heavy and I can't move. So he's going to kind of just gradually look up, right? So how long is that? So we got six frames at the beginning, and then 1001, 1002, 1000. So 2.5 seconds, right? By the way, we all know that rhythm, right? To count out seconds, 1001, 1002, 1000.
Nope.
No? We know? Are you being a smart aleck over there?
Maybe.
I'm trying to swear less. I was almost all the way to ass, and then I came back to aleck.
You just said
Damn it! Oh, there it goes again. All right, never mind.
Just don't hold it back. It's fine.
No, it's a personal goal. I do it too much. So anyway, we all, if we're counting seconds, we all do that 1001, 1002, right? I've been doing that forever. I just learned like 6 months ago. Somebody pointed this out to me, and I went, oh, duh. That's not only good for counting out seconds. You can break it down to quarter seconds by using that cadence. Because what's the phrase? 1001. There's 4 beats in there. Each of those beats is a quarter second. So if you're acting something out, you're going 1001, 1000. It's, it's a second and 3/4 because you got through 3 of the syllables, right? So that's you kind of, unless you're, unless you got kind of a rhythm going, you could probably get a half second. It never occurred to me that you could break it down in quarter seconds. So it's another way to go. Anyway, so we're looking at about 2.5 seconds of him getting to the position where he's looking up. So what's 2.5 seconds at 24 frames a second?
60.
60 frames. So our second key, the one that's currently on frame 10, should be on frame 60. So we can do that a couple different ways. I'm going to lengthen my active area here out because I'm going to need this much space. There we go. We could grab them in the timeline and move them around, but a little more efficient way to go is to go up here into Windows Animation Editor and get the dope sheet. Dope sheet looks like this. There are just little vertical marks that show where your keys are. And the thing is, you could do this in the graph editor too, by the way, but the danger in the graph editor is you could change the value of your poses, which could change your pose. In the dope sheet, you can move these things back and forth all you like, and it's not going to make any difference. You're not going to screw up your pose. So each of these little black marks here is where a key has been set for some aspect of the control. So we've got the base control, pull vector, head control, and up here at the top, we've got where this blue strip is, that represents all of the keys that are represented in this selected items. And what I'm going to do is just take my, highlight the second key all the way to the end, and I'm going to middle mouse click and drag this down to 60. So now I've got 60 frames going from him looking down to looking up. So that's going to get our dejected across. That's going to get that across. And then once he's here, he's kind of looking up. If he sees something, he's probably going to move a little quicker the second time, right? Yes? No?
Yes.
Okay. So he's, what? So maybe, let's say it takes a second. So we'll add another 24 from there. So 60 and 24 is 84. So we'll highlight these. We'll slide these down to 84. We want to give him a little bit of time to kind of look at what's there and figure it out, right? So maybe that's just arbitrarily picking something that's maybe 2 seconds. It's okay to, acting it out is great. You can also kind of go, hey, you might look at it for about 2 seconds. So 2 seconds, 84 plus 48 would be 80, 90, 100, and 112, right? Sure, Paul. What do you say? If we could do math, we wouldn't be in here either.
I would.
Yep. There's always one guy that goes, no, I can do math.
Well,
And everybody goes, yeah, great. Congratulations. All right, so 112. And that's where our take is going to happen, right? That's our, go to 112, we look at the pose, that's where he's down. And then we want that quick transition up to the top. So there's only about 5 frames here, and that's pretty good, actually. That'd be pretty quick. It's about a quarter second, getting him into that last pose. So all I've done, I haven't set any new keys. All I've done is move around the ones that I actually have. And if I rewind and I hit play, see, so we're not in that repetitive rhythm anymore. We're starting to get a sense of how this character is going to act and react to what's going on, what he's seeing. Make sense? Okay. So this is the point that you want to be at next week when we come in. You want to have brought your character in, created your main acting poses while he, she, or it is in the shot, and then get him out of the shot. And you're going to do that initially just by spacing all your poses at even distances, and then go into the dope sheet, select all of your controls, go into the dope sheet, and move your keys around so that you're timed out. You're timing out your scene. And then do a play blast of the timed out version of your scene and upload that to the assignment. And then we'll take a look at them next week. You get a little bit of critique. We'll address posing and timing and whatnot. And then next week we'll transition from the this pop through, to splines so that everything moves nice and smoothly. We'll add in some additional breakdowns, some holds, and then do some offsetting. Create some additional, move the keys around additionally so that things don't all stop and start at the same time. I can see your hand waiting to go up.
Oh, I realize it's a question probably for next week. So.
Okay. Write it down. We'll get it next week.
I remembered it.
Okay. Any questions about this?
So our character that we have to turn in, we have to turn this.
You're going to turn in a play blast. You're going to make a
from
play
this
blast
lamp-
of this
From this lamp, right?
from this with this lamp. Yes.
Okay, I'm just making sure, 'cause I think my thumbnails are not right. I wish you would look at it.
I'd love to look at them. I'll come on
I
up.
sent them in as a assignment.
Okay. Do you have them with you? Okay. I can come over and take a look at them.
I know that they're.
All right. Let me do this real quick. Let me just show you the assignment before I lose complete control of the room. Here's the assignment. So you're going to work from your thumbnails, block out your key poses using the rig. And the Pixo rig is in the previous week, right? There it is right there. Things to remember, check your preferences, make sure your tangents are set to auto tangent and your playback is set to real time. Make sure you're in step preview. You can create a button on a custom shelf for all 3 controls. The other thing to keep in mind is that shelf buttons are part of the Maya configuration on the machine that you're on. They're not part of the scene file. So if you create one at home, you may not have it here and vice versa. There are ways to move it, and if anybody's interested in that, I'll tell you. You're going to set keys for all of your controls on frame 1. Make sure there's whatever the pose is on frame 1, your guy's going to be off screen and it's not going to matter, but make sure you set all of your controls, set a key on all your controls on frame 1. Otherwise, the first pose that you set a key for will ripple backwards and it'll look weird and you'll go, why? Oh, go. Well, because you didn't set a key. So make sure you're looking at the silhouettes of your characters so your poses read, and create your pose about 5 or 10 frames apart. And then once you've got all your main poses set, go into the dope sheet, time out your stuff, Think about how long each pose would take to go from one to the next and how quick the transitions will be between. And if you need any additional poses once you've done your main keys in order to make things read really well in as you time it out, then go ahead and add those. Try not to go too crazy at this point. Try not to put in too many poses. This should be a fairly simple movement. It should be fairly simple. You don't want to bring in the lamp and have him, whipping his shade around, looking in every direction, because that's really hard to read. Pick some strong poses and go with them. And remember thinking that we were talking about earlier. Your character needs time to think. So build that into how long you're holding your poses. Once you're happy with it, create a play blast and put it through QuickTime 7 if it's huge, and then upload it. Oh, the other thing is there's for those of you who have an iPod or an iPhone or an iPad, I'm not endorsing this. I'm just letting you know that it exists. This is it's like a stopwatch, but it's a stopwatch that's been designed specifically for animation.
That's called.
It's called the Acme Frame Counter, and I don't know how much it is. It's $2. But you hit the start button, and then if you want to, if you're gonna tap as you're acting out your scene, you're gonna tap it when you hit your main poses, and that'll create flags, and then you'll be able to look and see how many frames should happen between each of your main actions. So that's how this comes in really handy. So check it out if you're interested. I don't know if there's an Android equivalent. I haven't looked for it. I don't even have an iPhone. I still haven't looked for it because I just use a stopwatch. I use the stopwatch on my phone. Works just fine. But if you're interested in that, it adds another level of control that can sometimes make things a little easier. Okay? We all good? We're clear?
Yes.
Ready to dive in and get this done?
Yes.
Sweet. All right. Look forward to seeing your shots next week.